What's up, guys? I hope you're doing well. I found a new, I think it's new. It's a new index or whatever done by the New York Fed called the GSCPI, the Global Supply Chain Pressure Index. So it kind of measures seems like it uses different measures of the supply chain, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know. We'll head straight over to a screen share and just kind of talk about it. I haven't really gone through it in depth. I kind of saved that for the video itself. Um, so do that. There we go. I also wasn't able to highlight anything, so we're kind of winging it on this one. So basically, it just kind of like it also integrates, says transportation cost data and manufacturing indicators, um, just kind of measuring supply chain uh, conditions, I guess. And so obviously this has been a problem and a lot of people have been talking about it. From my understanding, it's been like all over the news for the past year or so. Not sure how to what extent it still is. But basically it says their goal was to develop a measure of global supply chain pressures that could be used to gauge the importance of supply constraints with respect to economic outcomes, mostly probably inflation. Um, so they said, according to the research, changes in the GSCPI are associated with goods and producer price inflation in the United States and the Euro area. And this goes all the way back to 1997, which was where their data set started. And they use metrics such as the global transportation costs, um, which is from the Baltic Dry Index, the BDI, and then the Harpex Index, which I think is just different shipping indices. And then you have the other data from the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Um, so then there's the PMI, the Purchase Managers Index surveys. Um, and that basically focuses on manufacturing firms across different economies: China, Euro area, so Europe, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, the UK, and the United States. And it's updated monthly, it seems. And I believe this tab gets us over to an actual like chart. So we'll go over there. So yeah, see it's been going up. So I assume this means upward pressure, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, does that mean so global supply chain pressures have increased for the first time since December 2021. So the pressure on the supply chains has increased. So despite the majority of the components of the GSCPI declining, positive contributions from China and Euro area, delivery times in the UK backlogs were enough to moderately increase the GCPI for the month of April. Looking ahead, we note the potential for heightened geopolitical tensions to stoke supply chain pressures in the near term. And we got a slider bar too. So that looks like it goes all the way back to the very beginning of the data set. And it looks like they have maybe also revisions in there as well. So let's kind of zoom in on past few years, see how close it gets. So this is, I guess, 2020 to now, which when you zoom in this close, it doesn't look like much has changed. It looks rather consistent, but when you zoom out, it's much different story, as as it typically is. And so I guess it just says supply chain pressure. So I'm assuming like from kind of the typical environment or whatever that's been going on, and the fact that it's higher. So standard deviations from above or from average value. Um, so that's here. It's 4.5 standard deviations in the high in December 2021. And so I'm assuming high pressure means like, significant supply constraints where we have the bottlenecks and everything else. So I'm assuming that's what it means by high values in this index. And so I assume lower indices in the negatives would be, we're not having like no problems with supply or maybe even like glut. But and that seems to be just in shipping, because those are the indices that were quoted to begin with. And then also like the purchasing managers index as well. So I don't know. I thought it was an interesting it'd be an interesting short video just to kind of make it aware because I haven't heard of this before. I just kind of came across it. But I guess there's an FAQ section. Um, they have different subcomponents, um, country specific, like delivery time, um, backlogs, just purchase stocks, and maybe inventory as well. Um, so yeah, and then demand side factors. Yeah. And other FAQs, right? And so are there revisions? They can be revised as realized data become available, replacing the imputed values generated by principal component analysis. Okay. Um, Regardless, I know I like how my highlight tool says they're still there, but when I go back, they're not. Um, but regardless, I thought it was an interesting kind of thing, and you can see the different sources that they have for this. Showing the different, like the Baltic Exchange, where they're getting the data from. I always enjoyed that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much just wanted to share and make you guys aware of it because it seemed like an interesting kind of index that you can get from the New York Fed. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. So I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you on